Okay, hi everybody. That's my daughter in the background, so just ignore her. she's just being a, she's just being a pain. Okay, now I don't have my actual original layout here because Michael stole it to take down to the Napier show today. So this is our page, which is on the front of your instructions there. So we will be doing this COVID one today. So if you can grab all your bits and pieces out of your kit, we will get started. Okay, so we do need our 12 by 12 yellow and our 12 by 12 white. And you should have a 12 by 12 stripy white piece as well. So I want you to trim your yellow piece to measure 11 3/4 by 11 3/4. So I'm going to trim, I'm going to make sure that I cut my border off. So I'm just going to measure it down to 11 3/4 and then 11 3/4 again. So flip it round to 11 3/4 there. Beautiful. All right, so what I'm also going to do here, I'm going to cut the middle piece of this out. So I actually want you to come in 1 inch on all four sides. So measure it 1 inch on all four sides, and we're going to cut that middle piece out, and we're going to put that aside and use that later for our title. So if you can measure into the center a bit to 1 inch. If you need to use a ruler and a pencil, that's fine. Just measure in 1 inch, draw a line across there, measure in 1 inch, and then another line down there. If you're using a trimmer, we're going to line it up at 1 inch here, and then down the side you've got another 1 inch side piece here. So I'm going to lift my blade up so that it starts at that 1 inch, and I have my 1 inch here, and I'm going to bring the blade down until I stop at just under 11. So it'll be 10 3/4 that we stop down this end. So that's going to give me my 1 inch border there. So I'm going to flip it round, and excuse me, I'm going to bring it to 1 inch again here, and then I'm also going to bring my blade to 1 inch here. So bring your blade to there, push down, and stop when you get to your 10 3/4. Okay, so I'm just going to carry on and do that on the other two sides. There we go. So that middle piece is what we're going to use for a bit later for our border, to put our title on. So I'm just going to pop that aside, and we'll use that a bit later. So this piece now is ready to go onto our white. So just trim that border, that barcode border off there, so you're lining it up to 12 inches. Oops. And we're just going to cut that border off there so it's a true 12 by 12 piece of paper. Sometimes we do forget to do that, and then we end up with things that are slightly off center. Okay, so we're going to stick this one now to our white cardstock there. So you will end up with a bit of a white border around the outside, which is exactly what we want. So I'm just going to use some double-sided tape. If you prefer glue, that's fine. Go ahead and use the glue. Just bring that around on all four sides there. And this one here. And just keep going around the outside. Down that side as well. Now I'm not going to bother putting another piece of tape around here because we've got another sheet going on top of that, so that will hold that down. So I've just gone right around the very outside. There we go. So that one goes right down onto that middle piece of white there. So just line it up so you've got the same amount of white border around the outside. Okay, so hopefully everyone is up to there. Now I want you to grab your stripy white and yellow paper now. Now this is not a paper that has been designed. This was just a stripe that we got off the internet, which was a royalty-free one, and I have printed it out on some just normal Kaiser cardstock there. So some of them, and our printer's not working all that great, so some of them may have this very, very tiny bit of a line through there, but we're going to make sure that we cover that up. So just in case you're wondering, this is not an actual proper printed paper. It's just one that I wanted for my layout, and we thought we'd just copy it off a free, royalty-free place. Now, what I want you to do is measure from the outside of your stripy bit, and I want you to measure out 1/4 of an inch, so we end up with a 1/4 of an inch white border around the whole piece. So I'm going to line that up. So this piece here from our yellow bit, I've measured out 1/4 of an inch, and I've just cut all the way down there. So if you need to do it with a ruler, that's fine. Just grab your ruler, pop it up against your yellow piece, and then make a mark at your 1/4 of an inch, and then just cut down there. So I'm just going to do all 4 sides now. So you will have a white border around the outside, and that's exactly what we want. And the last side there. So if you're wondering what I'm doing on my trimmer, I'm actually lining up the end of my yellow with my 1/4 of an inch here. So I'll just bring it up, see if I can show you a bit closer. So I'm just bringing the edge of that yellow, and I've lined it up with that 1/4 of an inch there, and that's going to give me my 1/4 of an inch cut down there. Hi Juanita, thank you, that's so lovely to hear. Okay, so we're going to cut down there, and that will give you a lovely white border around there. So I'll just pop that aside. So this piece now is going to go into the center like that. So which way around have I got my stripes? Let's have a look. Okay, on my original one, I've got my stripes going that way, but you can, it doesn't really matter which way you have them going around. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that down, but before I do, I don't want to put any tape at the top here. I want to make that a pocket because I actually want to plop this in. So I've got all these, and you'll have this in your kit as well. I've got all the stages of alert that we went through in lockdown. So I'm going to cut that out, and I'm actually going to pop it into the top there as just an extra bit of information about what we all went through. So I did not put any tape along the top. I just put tape down the sides and at the bottom, and then I put it straight onto this piece here. So I'm going to go do that now. All right, where's my tape? There it is. Hi Charlene, you made it. There we go. So just carry on around it all 4 sides, and then we're just going to pop it onto the center of this one. Oh sorry, all 3 sides, not 4. Okay. So that one's going to go on there, and I haven't put any on the top here so that we can use that as a pocket. There we go. So that one goes right in the center there. There we go. Alright, so now we have that pocket at the top. So this, when I cut this out a bit tidier, that's just going to sit in there. So you can have it coming out a little bit, or you just so you can have the stages of alert there. If you want to make it really pretty, you could put a little tag on there and make it a pull-out stuff. But that, I really just wanted that on my layout, just so that we all knew exactly what we were allowed to do and not do in lockdown, and I just thought that was really handy. So you can pop that in if you want. You don't have to if you don't want to. Hello Megan, so lovely to see you, honey. That's my daughter. Okay, so our next step is we're actually now going to start doing our film strips. So you've got a thick and a thin film strip there. So this is your bigger one, and this one's going to go at the top there, and that one's the one that we're going to put some of our photos in. But I actually just wanted, on my one, on here, I've got a piece here that I wanted to do a bit of journaling on. So if you want to do more journaling, then you can either pop it into your pocket at the top there, or you could use this piece and this piece. You don't have to do this shaker box if you don't want to. So you could add more photos there, but we do have these 5 little ones down the bottom as well. Now we do have some more kits of that available, and we're doing a bit of a special so that if you want to do a kit and you haven't got it, we're doing a double layout. So one of the layouts has COVID-19 on it and the other layout has quarantine. So they're $28 for the 2. So this little one's going to go down the bottom there. So now what I'm going to do is I've got my acetate and I'm going to cut it just a little bit smaller than that frame there. So I have glare on there. So it's just a little bit smaller, so you can't see it through these pieces, but we have got enough room to stick it down. So I think there was a measurement for that one. Hang on. I think it was 3 1/4 by 3 1/2. So I'm just going to grab my trimmer. So you need 2 of these. So 3 1/4 by 3 1/2. So grab the other piece of acetate in your kit and cut that down to the same size as well. So 3 1/4, and then turn it round to 3 1/2. There we go. So those little bit of acetate we don't need anymore, so you could use those for something else later if you wanted. So these 2 pieces here are going to make our shaker box. So to start off with, I just want to pop a little tiny bit of glue just around the outside. Now you don't want to put too much glue on there, because if you do, when you put your acetate on, it is just going to spread so far and it's going to come through onto your acetate. So I'm just putting a very, very small amount on. So I'm just going to, very small strip, so you really don't need much at all. There we go. Okay, so there's very, very little on there. Hi, Megan. And I'm just going to pop that onto there. Sorry about the noise. We've got the shop open at the moment, and we've got customers in and out, so please excuse the noise. Okay, so see how I've got a little bit of glue coming out there? I'm just going to grab a tissue, and I'm just going to wipe that off, because once that's dry, it just tends to smear a little bit. Yes, Juliana, you can. If you go onto our website, craftables.co.nz, it's all on there, and you can put an order through and we can get it out on Monday for you. No problem at all. So that's the beginning of our shaker box there. So I'm going to flip it back over to the back now. Now I want to have a bit of a gap between the 2 bits of acetate. Sorry, that's a bit glary. There we go. So I want to have a bit of a thickness so that I can put my bits and pieces through. Now because this piece here is such a thin amount, I'm actually going to have to cut my foam tape. So this is a 6mm foam tape. I'm actually going to have to cut it in the middle long ways. So I'm just going to grab a strip off there. And now I'm just going to cut it long ways so that it's really thin. So if you've got the 6mm tape, just cut that in half like that. If you have the 12mm tape, you just need to cut a very thin strip like this, so that we've just can put it around our window without it showing through the other side. Okay, so just keep cutting along there. Oh, that's what we love to hear, Juliana. Thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to cut that much for now and just see how we go with that. Alright, so I'm just going to place this around where my acetate is, so just on the acetate there. Now, when you come to do this side here, you make sure that it is really tight up against there. Because we're doing a shaker box, we don't want any gaps between our foam tape. So I'm right up against there and down there. So I'm just going to cut those extra bits off there. So and this will go for any shaker box that you do on cards or mini albums or anything like that. Just make sure that you've got no gaps where your foam tape is meeting in there. So I'm just going to cut a bit more and do the top and the side there. I'm just going to carry on cutting that in half. I know this gets a little bit sticky and a bit frustrating, but just stick at it. We'll get there.
don't know, I might just scrap the whole idea.
Oh, my daughter's having a pun off here. On her own. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that one along the bottom there. So right up against the edge so there's no gaps there again. And so hopefully on this side you're not going to be able to see the tape. If you can, just gently pull it back a wee bit if you can. Perfect. Okay. So it doesn't look all that pretty, but we're going to cover it all up, so don't worry about that. So we do have our tape around there now. So what I'm going to do before I pull the backing off is hopefully you've managed to cut these little pieces out. So these were what we sort of got told we needed a lot of in lockdown, and you know, we've got the toilet roll there and all that sort of thing. And there was I did have a hand sanitizer somewhere, but I seem to have lost that one. It's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn these over and I'm going to place them down on my window. So we've got the gloves, the mask, the toilet rolls, because everyone went crazy over toilet rolls. And I did have a little hand sanitizer.
It's not under your project or on the floor?
No, it seems to have gone for a walkabout, but that's okay. Right, in a little packet here you've got a few sequins, so I'm just going to sprinkle a few of those in. You don't need to have all of them if you don't want to. It's just to give it a bit more zhuzh to our shaker box. So I'm just going to shake a few in there. Oh, there it is. Thank you, darling.
What would you do without them?
Oh, I don't know what I'd do without my daughters. Okay, so I've just put a few in there, so I'm just spreading them out a little bit so they're not stuck onto the tape. Right, so now I'm very gently going to take the backing tape off. Now the reason I'm doing it gently is because I don't want them all to jump up when I'm taking them off and stick to the tape. So I'm just going to do that very gently. And now this other piece of acetate I'm going to pop right over the top, so we need to make sure that that is all completely enclosed in there. Okay, so see if it's a bit glary, sorry about that, but now we can now shake that around and we've got all that on the inside there. So it will get a little bit stuck to start with just because your tape is a little bit sticky still on the inside there. If you don't want that to happen for future, if you have a anti-static pad, those little pocket, those little, sorry, I'm just grabbing one now. This way, honey. Up. Yep, in there. So these are anti-static pads, and they're little pouches just filled with very, very fine powder, and this helps with any embossing that you do as well. But if you don't want something to stick on there, I would just put some, just rub that on around there a little bit, just so you get a very fine layer of the dust around there, so these things don't stick to it. So you could do that next, whoops, I've got a hole there. So you could do that next time if you wanted. So that's our shaker box. So now I want to put a photo in here, but I don't actually have my photos. So I think this one measures, I think it was a 3 by, yep, so no, it'll be a 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 photo. So if you have a 4 by 6 and you just cut that down, so it's 3 1/4 by 3 1/4, and that can just go on the back there. So where's mine? Okay, so we've done the shaker box here, so the photo goes there, and then I'm just going to put another blank piece in there. So you will have this piece in your kit as well. So that one I'm going to do next, but we're just going to pop that down. If you don't have your photos right now, that's okay. Just pop it, just put it so that you've got the bottom stuck down, and then you can just slot your photo in later if you want to, and then you can stick it down from there. Now, because on here we have that foam layer, we actually need to do another foam layer all around here, so that when we stick it down, this, whoops, wrong way around. So when we stick it down, this is raised up, but we don't want that flat because it would look a bit odd because the side's raised up. So we're just going to put a bit of foam tape around that as well, and I'm just going to stick that on there. So I'm just going to use the slightly thicker stuff in the middle, and then I'm going to cut my foam tape in half again just to go around these small pieces here. So you really only need to do it on these two here, because this one's already got your foam tape on. There we go. So I'm going to cut that in half, and I'm going to put a bit in the top and bottom there. It's very sticky stuff. Wish we could get the 3mm tapes. It would be much handier. There we go. So I'm just going to put a little bit along the top here. So if you have a photo, pop your photo in now, and then you can put your foam tape around the top there. So that one's going to go there. So pop your photo in now if you have one, and then you put your foam tape along the top. It doesn't matter if the foam tapes aren't touching this time, because we don't need to worry about anything falling out. So I'm actually going to leave, actually I might just take that off. I'm going to leave my top open so that I can pop one in there, in the top there when I get my photos in. Okay, so I'm just going to take the tape off there and pop that down. Now don't forget, if you're having trouble keeping up, we do have our YouTube channel, which is Craftables NZ, and we do put all our videos up on that after the live video. So if you're having trouble following along, then go back onto the YouTube channel, and you can follow along again and stop and start if you need to as well. Okay, so they'll be going up on Mondays from now on. Okay, so I now want to place this piece back in the middle there. Now you can either put that down flat so that it looks like it's a little bit 3D on the sides, or you can put foam tape on there and you can have it the same height as your film strip here. So I'm actually just going to do mine flat. So I'm just going to put a bit of tape around it. And I'm just going to pop that back down into this one here. Okay, so there we have it. So there's our shaker box there. And then we've got a photo there, and I've got mine to go in later, so I'm just going to pop it in the top there. And then we've got this bit here for journaling. Now I have put Stay Safe, Be Kind in there, but you don't have to put it in there if you don't want to. You can pop it anywhere else on your page if you want. Okay, so our next part is we're going to do the little strip down there. Now I don't have my photos for this, so I'm not going to put mine on, but I am going to just tack it down here so that I know where it goes. So these photos will need to be about 2 by 2, I think. Yep, so these ones here, you'll have 5 photos along there that measure 2 by 2, so that's those ones along there. Now I just printed mine, made them a slightly bit smaller, and then I just cut them down to size so that they fitted in there very well. Now I know it's an odd size to be using for photos. I just really wanted to get more than one photo on this page, so print them out, just shrink them down a little bit and print them out, and then you can just cut out the part of that photo that you want to go into those little film strips there. So I don't have my photos, so I'm just going to put a bit of tape down the side and along the bottom, and then I'm going to tuck mine in a bit later. I've lost my tape again. There it is. If you have the 3mm tape, that would be great to put on here. I only have the 6mm at the moment, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to overlap it a little bit, so you can see where it's overlapping a little bit there. And then when I pull that off, you can actually fold it back on itself so that it's not showing around the back there. So I've just folded that over on itself. So I'm going to just do a little bit of tape there, and there, and along the side as well. Now you could use glue for this. Glue is absolutely fine. Because I haven't got my photos on, I just want to make sure I can remove it if I need to. And just a little bit down the side there. So again, it's just overlapping a little bit, so I'm going to fold it over on itself just to make it a bit smaller. If you have your photos on, if you have your photos to pop on, then that's great, go ahead. Then I would suggest you use glue to glue it down with, and you can put tape and stuff on the back of your photos to stick it down as well. But I wasn't very organised this weekend and I didn't get my photos done. So that's just going to tack there, so now I can pop my photos through at the top there. Alright. Actually, this is such a quick and easy page, it's great, so you could do a couple of these if you did want to. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to do our COVID-19 now, so this part here. So I'm just going to move this aside, grab my yellow piece back again that we cut out earlier, and in this little pack here, I've actually given you every single little bit that got cut out, so you will have the outside piece, so the outside bit is the one that we want. And you will also have the inside piece, so you could use that for something else. So you've been given everything there, so just go ahead and grab out the word COVID. So we just want the outside pieces, not the insides. And you do need all these little pieces as well, so don't throw those away. So there's my C, and this is my piece for my O, if I could pick it up. There we go, so that's just going to go in the middle there like that for the O. So just the middle piece again for the V. And there's the I there. There's my D. Now this little piece here out of the D, that goes back in there as well. Oops. So make sure you keep all these little pieces because we do need them. And then we have the 1 and the 9, so we also need that little piece for the 9 as well, so that's going to go there and that's going to go there. So when I put these little pieces in, I'm actually lining them up with this bit here. So with the D, I'm lining it up along there. Right, so once you've got all your bits in place and you know what you're doing, I just want you to grab some very fine glue if you've got it, which is the stuff we use, the art glitter, which has this very fine nozzle on it, which is really great for these really fiddly little things. And then you're just going to very carefully put just a little bit of glue on each letter and stick it down to that yellow. Okay. So there's my C, and I'm just going to put my O down now. So you don't need a lot because we don't want it all spurting out the side there. Now they don't have to be even, you can have them all over the place like that because we are cutting them out, so don't worry about it not being even on there. So I'm just going to pop that one in the middle for my O. If you're having trouble with your fingers doing this, a pair of tweezers would be fine. Here we go, so there's my O, and I'm just going to pop my V on there. There we go. This glue is very good for this sort of thing. It does dry clear as well, so if you have got a bit of seepage out the side, don't worry, the glue will dry clear. So here's my I. And I'm just going to put my D on there now. I'll make sure I get it up the right way. Oh, have I glued the wrong side? I have. Silly person. Don't make the same mistake I just did and glue the wrong side. Glue the back of it, not the front. Here we go, that's better. So this little piece here is going to line up in the middle, and I'm going to have it lining up with that point and that point, so it goes down to the center there. Oops. There we go. Awesome. So we're going to do the same with the 19 now. So just on the back of that, just pop it on and glue it down. And that little piece goes in the middle of the 9. So you do have another whole title here if you wanted to do another page that's similar. You've got a whole new title there as well for COVID-19. And if you order the 2 kits, you do get one COVID-19 title and a quarantine title. So again, for the quarantine, you have the inside and the outside as well. So it's really like 4 titles. Beautiful. So that's all that stuck down. Now I'm going to grab my scissors and I'm actually going to cut around the outside of all the black pieces now. So if you want to go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to cut around the black, around the outside, and I'm going to cut very close because I don't want any yellow showing past that black. So this will take a little while, so if you want to just do this a bit later, that's fine, because you can add this anytime. Okay, so there's my C, so that's going to go right in the center here, so I'm going to have it right up against there, and it's going to go right in the middle. So I'm not going to stick it down just yet, because I'd like to have all of them cut out first, so I can position how far apart they need to be. So we're just cutting around the outside, not the inside of anything, so you don't need to worry about any of that. There we go, so there's my O. I'm going to cut the V now. I've just got a bit of yellow around there I want to snip off. Here we go. So there's the V now. Doing great, guys. You're nearly done. And then my I. It's a nice way of doing a title like this because you can have such bold titles and you can have some colour on them, and I actually quite like doing these outlines. Now this title is not a die. We actually designed this on our silhouette machine, so the silhouette machines can cut out anything basically. These little film strips we did, they were done on the silhouette as well. So these titles were done on there as well, so we managed to cut them out on the outside and the inside, and they make great titles. And you can size things up and down. They have a silhouette store which you can buy, and they're very cheap, like they're only a few dollars if you need to buy anything off there, or you can just design your own stuff. It's a great machine, and we also sell those as well on our website, craftables.co.nz. There we go, nearly done. Just got the 19 to go. So we don't need any more of that yellow paper, so you could use that for something else as well. Oops, bit of yellow there, just cut that off. We also, just in case those people that are watching don't know, we do also do a monthly subscription called a Crafter Box, and what that does is that gives you the 4 kits in a month, and we send that out at the end of every month. So you get the full instructions, the video, all the bits and pieces you need to make this kit, and that just guarantees that every month you get the full 4 kits. You could subscribe monthly, or you can subscribe 6 monthly, so you don't have to worry about resubscribing. They're very popular. We get a lot of card makers and scrapbook people, so we do a card making and a scrapbooking one, and all that is on our website at craftables.co.nz as well. Alright, so I now have my COVID on there, so I'm just going to line it up just roughly, just so I know about where I want it to go. So I could move it all across here. So I'm actually going to draw a line. How much up do I want? About an inch. Yeah, about an inch up. So I'm just going to grab a pencil, and I'm just very lightly going to draw a 1 inch line. So my 1 inch is coming from the top of my film strip here and up 1 inch, and I'm just going to draw a very faint line there. And that's just going to be my guide to where I put my letters. Okay, so I'm just going to pop them on about where I want them to go. So I can still bring it over a wee bit. Awesome. So that's where I want it to go. So I'm just going to lift one up at a time, and I'm going to put some glue on the back and then stick it back down. Just going to line it up with the bottom of that line that I've just done there. Okay, so I want my O next. That one just lines up there. And I'm just going to carry on until we get right to the end of these letters. Great. Awesome. So now just the 19. Okay, so I just want to pop it over there a wee bit. And 9. Awesome. So that's our title done. So basically nearly done. We just want to pop a few little bits and pieces on there still. Now I'm going to rub this out a bit later. I won't bother doing it right now. But don't forget your photo goes in there, and that one was, I think it was 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. Yep. So 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 photo there. This is where you can do your journaling, and then we've got all the 2 inch photos along the bottom here. So what we're going to do now is on your cut apart sheet, we now have these 2 pieces here. Now these were things that were said sort of through lockdown in New Zealand, so I just sort of wanted to keep it in sync with that. So I'm just going to cut quite close to the outside of these, and then I'm going to mat it onto some yellow cardstock. So if you want to cut those out now. So I'm just going to put a bit of glue on the back of that, and I'm just going to pop it onto some of the yellow piece here. So I'm just going to make sure there is a little bit of a yellow border around there, like that. So I've got a little bit of a border on the left and the top here, and then I'm just going to cut with my trimmer at the side and the bottom, and just make sure there's a little bit of a border around there as well. There we go. So that's our stay safe, be kind. And I'm just going to cut out our bubble one as well, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Go. It's just doing a bit off skew there, so I'll just trim that up a wee bit. There we go. And I'm just going to put some glue on the back of that and pop it onto that one as well. There we go. I'm just going to cut that up there. Awesome. Okay, so we have our bubble and we have stay safe, be kind, which were very popular phrases here in New Zealand for our quarantine. So those pieces there can go onto your layout. Now I did put this one in the middle there, and I was going to do some journaling at the top and bottom, but if you wanted to, you could pop it down the middle there, pop it anywhere you like. And I was just going to put my bubble one down here, so I'm just going to stick that down with a bit of glue. There we go, so there's that one there, and I'm just going to pop that one in the center there. Here we go. Right, just going to rub these lines out now. Okay, there we go. So that's our page. So this piece here, I'm just going to cut out the outside around here, and I'm just going to pop it in that top pocket there, so that it's just my reference for what we went through in each stage of our lockdown. I just thought it was really interesting, because you don't get to do this very often in our lives, do we? Thankfully. There we go. So this piece here is just going to go behind that stripy piece, and it's just going to sit in there. So you can have that poking out if you want to at the top of your page, or you can just slide it in there. So that's our page. I hope you like it. I'll just go and grab next week's one so I can show you. And don't forget, we have double layouts of this available, and we selling them in double layouts. You can buy single layouts if you like, and they're $15, but the double layout, if you buy the double layout together, you'll get the two layouts, the COVID-19 title, but the second layout has the word quarantine on it, and that's for $28. So it's a couple of dollars discount there if you buy the two. So if you wanted to buy one of these kits, they are on our website, www.craftables.co.nz, and you can just look up there and buy them online, and we'll get them straight out to you. So thank you for joining me for this one, and next week's one is this one here. So it's a very bland background, but I really wanted my photos to stand out on this one. So what I've done is I've just done all these little frames here with a little bit of sewing in the corners there, with a few tags and these little fishtail things here. So there's a little bit of frame cutting out there, a little bit of inking around there as well, but it does make a really nice frame, a nice page for those photos that you really just want to be the focus of your page. So that is next week's one. If you want to buy that so that you can join along with our live feed next week, they are on our website as well. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you very much, guys. Helen, if the cutter I'm using is actually a We Are Memory Keepers one, and they are really, really good because you've got all your score lines here, plus you've got all those silly little measurements like the 1/8 and the 3/8 and stuff, so they're really easy to use. And if you are doing scoring, this little mat here pulls out, and then you've got that lip there, so that folds along there, and then you can actually, where's a piece of paper? So if you were scoring something, you could push it up against there. And it does come with its own little scoring tool. So when you come to do your scoring, you just push down on there, and you've got your scoring as well. Can't see it very well. So it does cutting, it does scoring. You've got a scoring tool on there as well, and it also folds up for transport. So if you wanted to move it around, if you flip it over here and pull these little tags out, then you can fold it into a smaller one. So they're really great trimmers. We have them on our website. Unfortunately, they're not in stock yet, but they should be here any day. We've got quite a few coming in, so if you want one, please go ahead and order it. And they are great. They are really great. I highly recommend them, because down the bottom also you've got centimetres down here, inches at the top, centimetres and inches on the side as well. And I just think they're great trimmers. I highly recommend them. I use them in classes all the time. They're great. Awesome. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. See you later.